Hi guys, it's Jason here with another video, and today we are breaking down my top 10 teams going into the 2015 season. Season is coming up about 3 weeks away, so let's break it down. The top 10, what I have as a top 10 going into the season. USC, the Trojans out of the Pac-12, they returned 7 on defense, 7 on offense. They went 9-4, 6-3 in the Pac-12 with a victory in the Holiday Bowl last season. The big games to look for at Arizona State, Notre Dame, at Cal, and at Oregon. So it'll be a good season for Southern Cal for sure. At number 9, I have Florida State. They return 4 on offense, 9 on defense, a 13-1 club, 8-0 in the ACC, losing the Rose Bowl to Oregon last season. 2 biggest games they have is at Clemson and at Georgia Tech. It's going to be really interesting to see if Vernon Gholston, the transfer from Notre Dame, can get that job. At number 8, I have Georgia Bulldogs out of the SEC. They went 10-2 last season, 6-2 in the SEC East. They returned 7 on offense and 6 on defense. And their biggest games are at Tennessee, Auburn, and at Georgia Tech to finish off the year. And at number 7, I have the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets out of the ACC. They went 11-3 last year, 6-2 with the Orange Bowl victory. They did lose to Florida State in the ACC title game. And their biggest games, they're at Clemson. They play Notre Dame on the road, and at Duke, and they do go to Miami this season. So it should be an interesting season for the Yellow Jackets for sure. At number 6, I have Michigan State. They went 11-2, 7-1 in the Big Ten. The only 2 losses for the Spartans last year was Oregon and Ohio State, the 2 teams that played for a national title last year. And they will be playing at Michigan State and at Ohio State later in the season, and they host Oregon, the Oregon Ducks, in week 2. That should be a great primetime matchup. At number 5, I have the Oregon Ducks, 13-2, 8-1 in the Pac-12. They lost in the national title game to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Their big games are obviously at Michigan State. USC comes to Oregon. Arizona State's on the road at Stanford, and Cal comes to Austin Stadium. But it should be a good year for the Ducks, no matter who's quarterbacking the Ducks. If it's going to be Jeff Locke or Vernon Adams, my guess is Jeff Locke, because he's already here, he's already on the campus. Vernon Adams has yet to practice. There'll be more in my Oregon preview coming up later this month. Number 4, I have the Auburn Tigers. 4 offensive starters coming back, 8 on defense. They went 8-5 last year, 4-4 in the SEC, and their biggest games are at LSU, Louisville the first week of the season, at Arkansas State, A&M, and of course they have the Iron Bowl. At number 3, I have Alabama. They return 3 on offense, 7 on defense, and they are at Georgia, at A&M, at Auburn, and at Mississippi State. A really strong test, especially when they don't know who the starter is going to be. Is it going to be Jacob Croker? They transferred from Florida State last year, so it should be a good season for the Tide. and Alabama lost to Ohio State in the national title game. And at number 2, I have the defending champs, Ohio State Buckeyes, 14-1 last season, undefeated in the Big Ten with a victory over the Oregon Ducks, 45-27, I believe. It was a lopsided game in the fourth quarter. The two biggest games, obviously Virginia Tech coming up week 1 on the road, and Michigan State at home and at Michigan. I think they are the two of the last games. And my number 1 team coming into the season is TCU Horned Frogs. They're 12-1 last season with a victory in the Peach Bowl against Ole Miss. Their biggest games on the road is at Minnesota, at Texas Tech, and at Oklahoma State. But they do have Baylor and Texas coming into their own house this season. So I think TCU's a real good team with Trevor Boykin at quarterback, and that should be a really good game. A really good team coming into the season. So just to recap, USC at 10, Florida State at 9, at number 8, Georgia, at number 7, Georgia Tech, at number 6, Michigan State, at number 5, Oregon, at number 4, Auburn, at number 3, Alabama, at number 2, Ohio State, and at number 1 is TCU. Those are my top 10 teams going into the 2015 season. In a couple of weeks, I'll have my Oregon Duck preview coming up. So by then, have a good day and go Ducks.